We are mostly a play-based school. Most of the things that we do, probably about 90% of what we do, is play-based. When it comes to writing and reading, though, those are things that we don't do through play. Those are things that require some more direct instruction. Um, I used to do a lot of just letting kids figure out how to write things and letting them figure out on their own how to make the shapes of a letter. But because we had experience with our child who started kindergarten with some of those bad habits, and I've talked to lots of OTs, occupational therapists, over the years who've said that kids really need to be taught in a sequence things. We've switched over to do more direct instruction with that. That being said, in Bentonville Public Schools, your child does not need to know how to write going into kindergarten. The kindergarten teachers will be teaching those skills, and they will probably not start on those skills until about October of their kindergarten year. They do a lot of time practicing drawing and shape making at the beginning of the year to get the hands and the skills developed. Okay, we have had several parents ask us about writing for their kindergarten bound kids this year. Um, this quarantine, stay at home, social distancing has come at a really bad time for that, because this is the time of year when we would start working on our kindergarten bound kids with how to write and starting teaching some of those writing skills. You can do it at home, but because we've had some experience with our own child, just turning Bird loose and letting Bird teach himself to write, it's become a little bit of it became a bit of an issue in kindergarten and early elementary, because there were some bad habits developed, and it's really, really difficult to break bad writing habits. So we're going to make sure that everybody's starting from the right starting points and moving forward in ways that will be the most beneficial for your kids as they go to kindergarten. With that in mind, there are some things that we need to make sure that everybody's aware of to start with. The first one is that reading and writing are separate skills. Um, they're interconnected skills, but they are separate skills. Writing is a very physical act, and we need to wait until the hands and the small muscles in the hands and the wrist are developed before you can start really writing. Reading often comes before writing for most kids. It doesn't always, but almost always reading and beginning reading and becoming a fluent reader should happen before kids really start writing. Our second thing that we need to point out is that writing is only for our kindergarten bound students at this time. Because of the developmental things that need to happen, because of the strength required and the control required, it really is not something that is appropriate for 3 and 4 year olds, and certainly not our 2 year olds to be practicing writing. Starting too early can, first of all, set some of those bad habits in stone that are really, really hard to get rid of. And kids who don't have the strength and don't have the control tend to develop those as compensating skills very easily without adults really being aware of it. Um, so if you've got a 3 year old who's really wanting to write or wanting to learn how to spell or sound things out, I suggest you get some letter magnets or letter tiles, or even just print things off on your printer and cut letters into squares that they can put together. That way, rubber stamps are another good one. Let them experiment with those kinds of things to learn to spell without having to write. All right, the next thing we need to be aware of is that writing is really only for one on one time with you and your child. Um, because it does require a specific set of skills, because it does require the children to do things in an order and with some instruction, you really need to be sitting right next to your child until everything that they're doing with writing is automatic. Eventually, they will get there, but for the next several months at least, anytime your child is writing, you need to be right there next to them, ready to make sure that they're following the correct writing strokes, that they're forming things in order, that they are doing things according to best practice, so that they don't have problems later in school. And our last thing is that writing practice should be only for a short time. It probably should not be daily, but if you are going to do it daily, stick to 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time at the most. We don't want to wear kids out or make them not have fun with it. Even if they seem to be having fun with it at the end of that 10 minutes, the muscle fatigue will set in pretty quickly after that, and we don't want to wear kids out too soon. So keep it to just a few minutes at a time, probably 2 or 3 letters at the most.